It was adorable. I love it so much. All right.
She's so small and so nice.
All right, let's roll into it. We'll hit it with the intro, hit it with our intro, and then I will beef into some Gilmore Girls.
Jesus Christ.
I'm
Here
so
we go.
excited to show you Gilmore Girls. I can't. I was like, I haven't been this giddy in so long. I haven't been this giddy in a long time, and it's even better because Deep is here.
Like I'm
We couldn't do this without her.
like I'm feeling that way when you're like about to get on a roller coaster and then like you're like next in line and then you like, all right, the new empty cart's up and you like get in, you're strapped in, you're like, oh boy.
This is the end.
My stomach's turning.
That's the moment where I think that the roller coaster could kill me.
Yeah. Gilmore Girls could kill me.
Welcome everyone to the very first episode of our internet podcast. This is going to be a podcast about things that you didn't know, or maybe you did know, maybe a little bit of, but now we're going to tell you a lot about those things. So it's things you didn't want to know, but we're going to make you know. I am your, I have it written. It's so dumb. I am your painfully anxious host with a tummy ache, Bebe Anime. And I have my co-host here.
And I'm the other host, Tipsy Ghoul.
Yes. And today we're going to be diving into Gilmore Girls because Tipsy has not watched or heard or seen Gilmore Girls. So I'm going to be showing him the ropes today.
Yeah, the ropes, jeez.
But before we get into that, we are going to go and give you a little bit of introduction about ourselves before we dive into everything, just to kind of, see who we are. So I'm Febe Anime. I spend a lot of my time kind of trolling the anime world and manga. I also do video games. I'm a very big lover of video games. I'm a lover.
Not a fighter. I don't play Mortal Kombat. I'm not a fighter.
I don't like fighting games. That's true. But I spend a lot of my time just on the computer, playing games, watching stuff on the side, and intaking pop culture.
And I'm your other host, Tipsy Ghoul. I usually spend my time doom scrolling on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, everything you can think of under the sun. I was on even on a brief stint on that like Republican website because that shit was funny as fuck. The Donald Trump one, you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Yeah, and then I got banned, so I can't.
You got banned?
Yeah, they figured out I was brown, so I couldn't be on there anymore.
Oh no! You have to care. You have to be careful.
Yeah, you have to be careful.
They'll come deport you.
Yeah. They'll ice me to death. They'll Sub-Zero me. I'm not a fighter, dude. I'm a lover of games. But yeah, I also play a lot of video games. When we just, I usually just play free games or close to free. So
yeah,
that's pretty much my side. Just looking up really terrible lore, like Skibbity Toilet, up into like knowing everything about BioShock that you could possibly ever want to know about it.
And I can't wait to hear about that too, because BioShock is one of those game series I've always wanted to play, and I just haven't.
That might be an episode later because they're making the show on Netflix.
That's
I might have to just talk about BioShock.
It would be cool for you to see, because I did this kind of on my last podcast with like The Last of Us.
Mm-hmm.
I would watch The Last of Us, and then I'd actually watch it with friends, and I would ask them how close to the actual game it was, because The Last of Us is such a beloved series that like if they did such a disservice, HBO, if they did such a disservice to that show, like I feel like the public would have hated it.
Yeah.
But they did really good, I will say.
It was a very good
the show was great. I even went
better than the game. I hated the game.
Really? Yeah. Oh no. I heard the second one had fans hate them even more. Like fans hated the second one more than the first one.
Because people don't want to see women win.
Yeah, I mean that's true. Apparently, well, it's like very Avengers Endgame where they had like the whole female part where everyone was just like, why are all these women on my screen? Like, what the fuck?
Ew, they're clothed.
Oh man. But yeah, actually, speaking of The Last of Us, Halloween Horror Nights last year actually had a Last of Us haunted house. It was actually really cool.
It was really cool. For a split second, I'm like, hell no.
Well, so like
terrified me.
They were terrifying. The makeup was done really well. They brought people on from the show to do the SFX makeup for the people who were performing in the haunted house. A little fact.
Nice.
Now for a lighter note. So Tipsy, Gilmore Girls.
That doesn't sound lighter.
So I know you haven't seen Gilmore Girls, but have you seen any other types of shows like Gilmore Girls?
Me and my dad watched what's that one with like it's like a murder mystery one that was like on MTV.
Oh,
They're
no idea.
remaking it now.
They're
Not
remaking?
remaking it. They're like add on.
I have no idea, but that's not. Oh wait, is it Pretty Little
Yeah,
Liars? Is
Pretty
that what
Little
you're talking
Liars.
about?
Yeah, I
Oh my
watched
God.
that.
Yes.
Just because me and my dad would watch it.
I unironically loved that and Facebooked about it often. I'm not even shitting you.
Between just showing off your new Hollister jacket, you would just
Well, I'm
talk about it.
currently going into the process of like my Facebook memories of deleting all the things from like sorority life and like all of the other like Facebook games and shit. And I'm like, oh man, but there's one
Oh
post
shit, you
from
found your Farmville?
no, because they're just like blank posts because
No.
I don't think Facebook has that stuff anymore.
No,
But I did find a post about it was towards my birthday where the new season of Pretty Little Liars was coming out on my birthday, and I was like so blessed because like I was like they know that it's my birthday. It was tragic.
Nobody else.
Okay, so you've seen like Pretty Little Liars, which is a little bit more like gruesome, I would say, than Gilmore Girls. Gilmore Girls is more, if I'm going to put it in anime terms, slice of life, as opposed to like, you know, a fun little shonen.
But yeah, I haven't seen anything like that.
Okay, so I've had the idea to do this not only because you haven't seen Gilmore Girls, but also because I follow an Instagram account on Instagram
Like
that's called
you're in it.
I'm in it. It's called Thinker Gilmore. So shout out to Thinker Gilmore. When I was writing this,
a ghost, Miss Turner, because
fun?
you're in one.
I was writing the script talking about it, and I had scrolled on to Thinker Gilmore, and there was a fan cam of 2 of the 3 male leads for the daughter.
Fan cam is that's when they focus in on just one person on the
yeah, it's like
screen.
the zoom ins and like
It's
the
so
weird like glowy filters and stuff. It was on 2 of the 3 male leads.
Yeah, they're all saturated.
Yeah. All right.
I can't even say anything. I watch Twice fan cams all the time.
Really? Dude, Twice is awesome. Yeah. I love them so much. All right. So are you ready?
Some approval from the bench? Yeah. Hell yeah.
Yes. There was no way that I was going to do a Gilmore Girls podcast without my best friend Ghoulish Cat sitting on the couch to help me along or to cheer us along because it's
no relation, by the way.
Oh yeah, that's right. Tipsy Ghoul and Ghoulish Cat. No relation. But there was no way I was not going to have her be a fly on the wall for this episode because we have talked about Gilmore Girls so much that I think it's a part of our vocabulary. It's like 3 or 4 times a year we both are telling each other that we restarted Gilmore Girls.
Like normal people with The Office.
Yes. Dude, that's what we put on at bedtime. At least I do.
College just has to watch it.
No, that's
he just has to watch it, Hair Flip.
He just has to watch it.
He's gonna sit there and take it.
There's only one show that he will not let me put online or like on for bedtime, and that's Friends. He just can't stand it. He can't stand it. I love Friends. Oh my God. I'm a typical white girl. I love Friends.
I'll do That 70s Show. It's about
Ayo, there you go. I have not seen all of That 70s Show. I had the goal to watch it because That 90s Show is coming out from Netflix. Out. Yeah. Well, this was forever ago.
Oh, okay.
So That 90s Show was coming out, and I was like, I'm gonna do a podcast on it because I was like, that was what I was doing at the time. I was deep diving.
You'd be like, this was bad.
Yeah. Dude, that's how I felt watching Black Adam again. Like I had to watch Black Adam to like watch stuff, and I was like, oof.
Dr. Fate is one of the coolest characters you could possibly put in a movie, and you fucking ruined it. The Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Yeah, that was just so bad. And I was trying to find redeeming stuff to say about it. Anyway, we're getting off course. Gilmore Girls is very important to me. Are you ready to get a crash course on Gilmore Girls?
Give me that fireball.
Yeah, I feel like you're going to need to be a little bit more tipsy for this.
Hit me.
All right. All right, so Gilmore Girls aired for 7 seasons. It ran from 2000 to 2006.
Oh, what? Really?
Yeah, but it also got revived on Netflix in 2016.
Oh.
It wasn't like an actual revival. It was just like a 4 episode with like they were like hour and a half long
Like a bow
episodes.
on top.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was just
I
a
love that.
nice way. Even though the show ended in a really nice, like they tied it up very well. The ending was done. It was very season finale or series finale. They still were like, people want more Gilmore Girls. We'll give them more Gilmore Girls. So they did
We'll
it
give
in
them
this.
more memes.
Yeah, we'll give them more memes. It was not great. I don't think there's any memes regarding A Year in the Life, which is not great.
A Year in the Life?
Yeah, that's what it was called.
Because they went a life?
No, A Year in the Life.
Oh, in the life.
So basically they started with like it was spring, summer, fall, and winter. So they did the episodes in season format, like a type of season. Anyway,
I like how they did that because spring is like a new start, and then winter is the end of things.
I think it starts with winter, actually.
Oh fuck!
If I'm gonna be real, I'm pretty sure it starts with winter.
They fucked it up.
Yeah. Okay, so
that was so easy. That was an easy goal, right?
I know, right?
Fucked it up.
Jeez, everyone knows you start your Sims slave in fucking spring.
Yeah. What the fuck? What are we talking about?
Anyway.
What are we doing?
So 2016 was when it got its like new revival, which I honestly was really shocked because I felt like that came out recently. The fact that that did not come out recently and that came out 8 years ago made me want to cry.
Well,
because
the Big C
that felt like so
everything.
long ago.
The Big C ruined
it
like
really,
time for
really
me. I have
did.
no idea. It feels like I'm still in 2020. I'm so confused.
So the show aired on WB, which obviously was taken over to CW. And then the last season was when it went to CW. So it was a WB show for the remainder of the for the majority of the series, and then it went to CW for the very last
that
one.
makes a lot of sense because I had to wait for that crap to be over for Pokemon and Digimon to start.
That actually makes a lot of sense.
And like Batman Beyond, I had to wait for that to be over. My sister would watch it, and then I had to wait for it.
When I was in middle school, I remember it's like it's like those flesh memories. I remember coming home. My parents would often have very, very, very big bags of Doritos because they'd make taco salad all the time. So I would come home, I would grab the bag of Doritos, I would sit right directly in front of the TV, and I'd watch Pokemon every time I got home. Taco salad is like 8-layer dip, but like you put Doritos, and it's all like taco. It's like taco seasoning mixed with sour cream, and then you put like lettuce, olives, and chips on top and some shit, and you use chips to like eat it. I don't know, man. I didn't ever eat it. I just know that's what it is.
Why are we trying to build a wall?
It's a Midwestern thing, dude. Yeah, it's a Midwestern thing, honestly. Okay. So the show itself, its main dynamic and main premise is the mother-daughter relationship and their life in a small town, as well as the mother's struggle with her privileged life because the mom grew up rich until she got pregnant.
Oh.
Yep. She became a teen mother. And for the daughter, it was just normal trauma of the absent father. So like the mom didn't want to get married to the baby daddy because she was every 16. Other person
nowadays.
Absolutely. So she just decided to leave. I think it could be best summed up in single parent always working to provide turns sour. Nice little premise of the show.
Turns
sour, like it all goes to shit.
Okay. All right. Okay, and then I understand.
Yeah.
What are our little starlets' names?
So our little starlets' names, we've got the mom, who is Lorelai. And then we've got the daughter, who is Rory. Okay. Rory is actually a nickname.
What's your full name?
Lorelai.
You just can't make this shit up.
No,
they did. They didn't have to, but they did. Yeah. Why did her mom name her after herself?
So the comment throughout the show was that the mom was hopped up on Demerol, just drugs from the pregnancy, and said that men always name kids after themselves, so why can't women?
That's pretty based, actually. Never mind. I forget what I said.
One of the best parts about Gilmore Girls is a lot of the quips, like the one-liners and the quips. I would say it's also good
writing.
Yeah, good writing. Topical, always hits with like pop culture references from old school and beyond. Yeah. Like they're always trying to make little jokes, and it can be very difficult, but it provides some of the best like commentary and such an easy watch because like it's sarcasm at its purest form because it's not just like the main characters, it's some of like the main character's family as well. So like the mom, very sarcastic, but her mom has just as much wit and sarcasm, and I think that dynamic actually makes it's really good. So is there anything you'd like to say before we fully dive in?
Why'd you say it like that? It's like you're about to put a bandana over my eyes and give me a cigarette and like, any last words?
Because after this, you may be pressed to find some pauses.
We ain't stopping. This is a long haul.
This is possibly going to be a two-parter. I'm going to try to get through it quick. I'm taking a page out of one of my most enjoyed animes, and in each core of the season, which means like parts of the season, they do turning points. So I'm going to tell you the turning points that I think for the two main characters. This is specifically just for the mom and the daughter. I'm going to have mom specific and daughter specific turning points, and then there's going to be a few mutual ones where they kind of are all like
make it a little
together.
digestible for some brown man listening about some brunette women doing things.
That's so true. Now, this is not to denounce any of the side characters' turning points. They gave a lot of storyline into the side characters.
Like you're trying to defend yourself against
it's
the
like
mom.
We're just focusing on the mom and the daughter, but the mom has a best friend who has like a whole storyline. She has a mom and a dad that have a whole storyline. There's the dad that has a whole storyline. There's the daughter's best friend who has a whole storyline and like multiple storylines, and they give lots of character lore to every character in the show. But this, like I said, is going to be specifically
how many seasons again?
7.
Yeah, okay, they can do that.
Yep. So they did good. All right. So major turning points for the main characters. The first one. Now, not much happens in the first season. It's just to paint the picture of like, hey, this is mom and daughter. Mom doesn't like her parents because of the way that
how
she grew up.
How old is the daughter at this point?
She is 15, about to be 16. And then the mom is like in her 30s, obviously, because she had her at 16. All right. So Rory, turning point 1. Rory meets Jess. Jess. In Rory's first year of dating what seems to be the perfect boyfriend, Dean, in comes a rapscallion bad boy, Jess.
Ooh.
This causes Rory to start to question her relationship with Dean, her current boyfriend. Dean, played by Jared Padalecki, most graciously known as Sam Winchester from Supernatural.
Okay, I didn't watch that either.
Oh, okay. That was actually going to be a mic drop, and you kind of just ruined it, but okay.
that was supposed to be your like mic drop for me, and I'm like,
I thought you knew. Okay, never mind. Anyway,
wait, it's Sam and Dean?
Yeah, that's what's funny about it. So, fun fact, in Supernatural, they make a callback to them being on a movie set. And they do a callback where it's like, if you look to the left, you'll see the set of like our show Gilmore Girls, because they're both produced by WB. And Sam in Supernatural has a brother named Dean. In Gilmore Girls, Sam, who's actor, also plays Dean in Gilmore Girls. So like that's like, it's a little silly.
Instead of siblings, they're cucking each other.
A little bit, yeah. We'll go with that. Anyway, Rory's questioning her relationship with her current boyfriend. She thinks that Dean is clingy. He once left like 14 messages within the span of like 2 hours because he forgot that she was going to be busy.
Yikes.
He also doesn't share her like thirst for knowledge and her bookworm sense, and that's really what drives her to Jess in the first place.
Like reader,
brainiac. The whole idea is that Rory's gonna go to Harvard.
Dude, hate that.
She goes to private school. She's gonna go to Harvard. She's really smart. So Jess actually steals a book from her and writes in the margins, and that's a very like bookworm thing to do. And that's when she was just like, wait, you could actually find love with somebody who actually cares about the things that you care about. So like she starts to get a little bit of feelings.
I don't know, my partner loves books, and if you wrote in one of her books,
yeah, you die.
Yeah, you would actually die.
certain people, I think, in certain types of literature, and I would hedge my bet to say this type of literature is one of those, like, this is like more than like me and your girlfriend would ever like read. It's like, somebody read the Iliad because they're just like, I'm super smart, so I can read this really old timey book, and I'm writing
They
notes in the
read like
margin.
real Shakespeare.
Yeah, shit like that.
Understand old English. Yikes.
Yeah, but not only is Jess like, he enjoys books and he has like smarts, he's also kind of aloof, and he's obviously a little bit edgy. Comes in wearing band shirts, and he's just like, whatever, let's go. Tries to drink a beer the first time he meets her mom. Like, it's all just the idea of like a bad boy, and she's just like, damn, he does.
Oh my god,
he does.
Those were so cool back then. They're starting to come back. Like,
because people are getting sick and tired of vaping, so people are like, hey, go ahead and smoke a cigarette.
Yeah, I like need to find something that's like a little less addictive than vaping. And it's like, have you tried a cigarette? They're like, what's that?
Have you tried a cigarette? No way. Anyway, that's pretty much when she realizes that if your significant other has interest in your hobbies, then that relationship probably would be good. So she starts talking to Jess a little bit more, and then she also tries to be a better influence on him because he's my mom sent me away to my uncle. I have a chip on my shoulder. I hate everything, so I'm just not going to be good in school. He's just a
woman hater.
I wouldn't say that because obviously he loves Rory, but at the end of the day, he is like failing school. He needs a tutor, and so his uncle Luke, who's also pivotal to the show, Luke runs the diner, which provides the coffee to the girls. The other part of things is Gilmore Girls loves coffee. They always go to the diner for coffee. It's coffee.
Bitches love their coffee.
They love their coffee. Anyway, I also have here right before, she's trying to help him with school, and in return, he continues to show Rory that her daddy issues exist. Because it's like, obviously, like, she wants to rebel. Like, she's in a relationship currently, and she's like interested in this guy, but she's just like, no. But then she's finding reasons to dislike Dean, her current boyfriend, because Jess is showing her something fancy and new and bright and shiny. Mind you, Dean's her first ever boyfriend. So she's getting to the point where she's just like, we're not gonna last forever. But then she also gets on the bandwagon of like, we are gonna be together forever, because she just.
And then what's Dean doing all this? He's just kind of
chilling,
flicking notes to her in class still.
Well, they go to different schools because Rory goes to a private school. So anyway, back on her helping Jess. So she's helping him study. And this study session is actually happening while Dean is out of town. So what happens is, in the middle of the training session, in the middle of the study session, Jess is like, hey, let's go get some ice cream. Brain food. Let's take a break. And then she's like, fine, we'll get ice cream and then we'll study. So what happens is they start talking and they're getting to know each other a little bit more, like intimately in the car. And he's just
other than his like mommy issues.
He's like, probably his mom sent him away. Sent him away to go live with his uncle because she said she couldn't handle him anymore.
My favorite color is red. That's why I smoked the red cigarettes.
That's based as well, dude. So he's just like, okay, we are supposed to study. Let's go ahead. I could go, let's go back to the diner and let's go study. And then she's like, yes. And then he goes, or we could continue driving. And then Rory hits him with, keep driving. And then what happens is she gets into a car accident and breaks her arm. He was driving her car. Mind you, this is the car that Dean has built for her. Dean built her a car, by the way. And he gets her into an accident. Rory breaks her arm. Jess feels so bad that he gets sent back to his parents.
He feels bad, so he goes back?
No, he actually gets sent back, but he feels really, really bad.
Oh, no.
So he is officially out of the picture. That's the first turning point for Rory, is meeting Jess. Jess opens her world to so many things. All right. Lorelai's turning point number one.
Lorelai.
So my turning point for Lorelai, her very first one, is Lorelai bailing on her wedding. So Lorelai starts seeing Rory's English teacher.
All right. If you say so.
Yep. She starts seeing Rory's English teacher, and it gets to the point where she feels like she could actually marry him. And so he proposes and she says yes.
This is one season?
No, this is over the course of like a couple seasons.
Okay. I was like, whoa.
No, I'm not doing this
whoa,
season
whoa,
wise.
whoa.
This is in chronological order, but it's not necessarily tied to specific seasons.
Right. Okay.
So these are just turning points. So Lorelai sees Rory's English teacher. She's kind of pressed about it at the beginning because she's like, "That's my fucking English teacher," and even though you're a single mom, like the fuck. But I think his name is Max. I think he's perfect. I think he would have been the best. So when the time comes and Rory starts to meet Jess, Rory is still kind of uneasy about the teacher dating her mom, and they do this weird thing where they try to be together and then they realize that it would still affect Rory's life, and then they take a break and then they get back together again, and they still are having these like differences.
It seems pretty real. That's good writing.
Yeah. And he's just like they end up having like a phone relationship before just being like, hey, let's just go together, because she's like
not making him pay.
Yeah. He should have, honestly. He probably racked up quite a tally.
Like what is it, like I wouldn't know, but like what, $5 a minute?
Maybe some 1-900 number, dude.
I wouldn't know.
I thought it was like probably like $2 a minute, because there's a movie about two girls that start a phone sex hotline.
I think I know what you're talking about,
and that was a great ass movie.
That was pre-COVID.
It was.
That was pre-COVID.
Yeah, and I was like, oh man, but it's just all fake. Anyway, back to Gilmore Girls. We're getting off track.
It's not real.
We have to talk about Max.
It's not worth $2.
I firmly believe. So let me finish this turning point, and then I'll say my piece on Max.
Sure.
So Rory B, she's still kind of uneasy, but she wants her mom to be happy, so she's just like, absolutely. Max proposes to Lorelai using 1,000 yellow daisies, because they were like in an argument, and he goes, I think we should get married. And she's like, you don't get married to end a fight, which should have been his first red flag, that she wasn't immediately just like, yeah, absolutely, let's get married. She was like, no, we do this, and you do it with blah, 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 and 1,000 yellow daisies. And so he sends them to her place of work, and it's all like amazing. And then she waits and says yes later, and then she's really, really happy. She goes and she has a bachelorette party, so it's like really close to the wedding.
Oh hell yeah, free gifts.
Yep. So she has a bachelorette party, and then her mom is there too, because her best friend invites her mom. And her mom talks about how she was so anxious and excited to get married to her dad, to the main character's dad, because she would like try on her wedding dress at night and stuff like that. And this leads a drunken Lorelai to make a phone call, because everybody starts to get the feels and they all want to talk to their friends or their boyfriends and their significant others. So Lorelai's like, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and make a phone call. But who does she call? She calls Christopher, Rory's dad, while she's drunk. With rewatching this, she definitely does it in a way of, okay, I just called to tell you that I'm getting married. And it's like,
oh my god.
Yeah, it's very like, stop me. Hello. It's crazy.
That might be like the best writing, because it's so frustrating, because people fucking do that. Oh my god.
So throughout the series itself, Christopher is one of those like guys that kind of just comes back into the picture when it honestly, to fuck up Lorelai's life.
He's like in the Christmas episodes.
To like screw with her life, because the show definitely wants you to hinge on the fact that like Lorelai and Christopher should be together. And that's throughout the show, like the main fight with the family, and the reason that there's falling out is because Christopher wanted to get married up front. She was like, we're 16. Her parents wanted Christopher to marry her because like she was having a baby. And it leads me to, why is that always people's thought? To like, okay, you get pregnant at a very young age, you have to get married. Or being pregnant with somebody and getting married immediately. It just happens so frequently.
Well, I feel like it's kind of different now. This was like, what,
2000? In the 2000s, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it's way different now, just because of, the price of living and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And people now straight up understanding, because of the internet and stuff like that.
Yep.
That, America like usually ends up with like, what, 50% divorce rate?
Yeah, it's not. 40%? It's like, I feel like it's even more now.
Yeah, so like people are just kind of like, I'm not gonna marry you unless like you, like my parents like went through like what. One of them went through 3 marriages. The other one went through 4.
Yeah, my grandmother went through 4.
That's what it like. What the fuck are we talking about?
The sanctity of marriage is a lot different now than it is like previously. So I think it was like, oh, in religious, it was like you get married and you don't get divorced. And then there was people who weren't really religious who were just like, I get married because I love this person. If I get divorced, that just happens.
It's the culture. It's the thing.
But it's like, you know, I'm in a long-term relationship. You've been in a long-term relationship. And it's like the idea of being married isn't a necessity. So it's like, it's one of those things where it's just like, it could happen like in the future, but it's not something that we're actively like aiming for because our situation, it wouldn't be any different if we got married. Anyway, Lorelai calls Christopher. She's like, hey, I'm getting married. Just wanted to tell you that. And then in the middle of the night, right after her bachelorette party, she wakes Rory up to go on a road trip and she bails on her own wedding.
Does Rory go with her?
Yes.
Why?
Because the mom and the daughter are best friends. This is a best friend daughter and mom relationship.
So Rory's like, oh hell yeah, fuck him.
No, she was not. She's a go with the flow, see what's up type of thing, and like support the mom, not support the decision.
Okay.
I'm gonna say my piece on Max. I think Max was the end all be all for Lorelai. She ends up with somebody who everybody probably shipped with her, which is Luke, the diner guy.
Okay.
That's who she eventually ends up with. Spoiler alert.
Hey, yo, I was watching that.
But I honestly think that Max was the best. Max challenged Lorelai a lot. Max also really
Is Max the guy who looked like a mechanic?
No, he is the English teacher.
The guy who's the mechanic is the English teacher? There's a guy who like wears like a backwards hat and like
no, that's Luke.
That's Luke, yeah.
No, but Max is who I think she should have ended up with.
Oh, okay.
So I think Max, because like even though he was still like he was her teacher, I think the dynamic flowed a lot better with like Max because Rory was more comfortable with it. Like there was just while Luke wasn't necessarily a bad like option or a bad like end game for Lorelai, I really think Max could have done it. But Lorelai set him up to fail. She didn't provide him house keys. They had Okay, this is gonna come in later. This is something that I noticed in rewatching.
For people at home, head in hands.
This is something that so there was a moment where they had a double date. It was Rory, Dean, Lorelai, and Max. They had a very nice double date. Rory and Max, or oh my god,
getting
them mixed up. Rory and Dean out on the porch doing their little kissing thing. Mom, super cool with it because she's just like, whatever. And then Max is like, they're still out on the porch. It's late. It's like, shouldn't we go out there? And this sparks an argument because Max is like
actual dad energy.
Yeah. Max wanted to be a dad to Rory. And so he's like, where do I fit in Rory's life? And she's like, Rory's grown. You don't do anything. I handle it. And when I tell you that attitude plays in a later part of this fucking show where the hypocrisy is fucking real, I didn't realize it until I rewatched it just now about how hypocritical this shit is. Meanwhile, I will say, the other part of it, I'm getting ahead of myself. Anyway,
get it, girl. Get it.
Max is the best. Lorelai didn't even give him a chance to be the guy that she wanted, and
she was just bored.
So she ends up running out of her wedding. All right. Next, this is the mutual turning point. Mutual turning point 1. It's a slash, so it's 2 events.
Okay.
I kiss Jess. Sherry's pregnant. So Suki.
Who the fuck's Sherry?
That's why I love this, because we'll get there. All right, so Suki, which is Lorelai's best friend,
Suki,
she runs the kitchen, so she's a chef
of the diner,
of the inn.
What?
Not the diner.
Wait.
She works at an inn. Lorelai works at an inn. Eventually, she'll own an inn, and then Suki is the chef
at the inn.
At the inn.
Okay.
Yep.
Who owns the inn?
She's also Lorelai's best friend. Eventually, Lorelai owns an inn. Lorelai and Suki open up an inn together.
Okay.
But first and foremost, this is Lorelai's best friend.
A little bed and breakfast?
Yeah, a little bit, kind of. So both girls are finalizing the details, and Lorelai needs a date, so she calls Rory's not-so-single-anymore dad, Christopher. Meanwhile, bad boy Jess who bailed after the car accident, comes back in the middle of a major school decision for Rory.
Wait, so we're saying comes back. Where is
he
all
was
this
in New
located?
York. Connecticut is where everything is located.
Yeah,
but he went to New York.
Connecticut.
Yeah, Stars Hollow. Stars Hollow, Connecticut. It's a little peace sign.
Why would he come from New York to Connecticut? What happened?
Well, his family was in New York.
Uh-huh.
His uncle lives in Connecticut. So his mom is like shipping him back off.
Mm-hmm.
But he comes back. The second time he's back is when he comes back on his own volition because he's like, I want to come back, mainly because of Rory.
Okay.
So Rory's in the middle of a big school decision. So the decision is if she's going to go to Washington for the summer or not, because student body president was happening, like student elections, and her frenemy, Paris, that's actually her name, Paris, her frenemy asked Rory to be her VP. If they won the election, that meant that they would have to go to Washington for the summer.
Why?
I don't know. Just a weird student body thing.
I think they just talked about like vending machines at my high school.
Yeah, it's crazy. Well, this is a private school, okay?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
they have to go to Washington.
They're fancy.
They have to go to Washington
anyway,
for a whole summer.
So while Rory's trying to think about these decisions, she sees Jess at the wedding. She gets overcome with feelings. She's like, "You're back! Oh my god!" And then she kisses him. She's still in a relationship with Dean. Dean is also at that wedding.
They all three kiss.
Yeah. A little.
They make a triangle. They start like.
Yep. So that's Rory's part in it. She's like, oh shit, I kissed Jess. I'll go to Washington. Meanwhile, Lorelai and Christopher get together. Like they actually hook up. On the day of the wedding, they're all very happy, and Lorelai is like, her parents are there, and they're all so happy, and all of this stuff.
I know where this is going.
And so, like,
he gets pregnant again and names another child Lorelai.
And you got it, and that's Gilmore Girls. Thank you. It's worse than that.
Oh my god! No.
So Christopher was dating a girl named Sherry. The reason that he was hanging out with Lorelai was because he said that he's pulling the old fuckboy move where he's like, that relationship's not working out. I think I'm gonna move out.
She's just a friend at a bar.
Yeah, it's like it's not
working out. We play pool together
anymore.
on Tuesdays. It's whatever.
Yeah. So at the day of the wedding, he gets a call and he's like, I have to take this, and then he finds out that Sherry is pregnant. Some sperm this guy has, might I add, right, to get two women pregnant. Rory doesn't know until she's in Washington about Sherry. But Lorelai, like, so basically what happens is they end the episode.
Oh, so she wins. Like she goes to Washington.
Yeah, she goes to Washington.
Okay.
So she, with the kiss, that's when she fully decides to go. But it ends, the episode itself, which is the end of the season, ends with them both beginning to walk down the aisle before the bride, and she's just like, I'm going to Washington. And Lorelai is just like ghost because she just found out that the guy that she's been trying to have an actual relationship with, an actual family with, got another woman pregnant. And he's just like, I missed it with Rory. I'm going to do it with this one. And he leaves. He doesn't even wait until the end of the wedding. He leaves right then. So she's ghost and she's just like, oh, okay.
He couldn't have had a piece of cake. He couldn't have just been civil about it.
Yeah. At the end of it, in the beginning of the new season, like Lorelai tells her parents, who she just doesn't really like sharing information with. She tells them that it didn't work out, and they're all very upset because, like, not only is it like they just have their own opinion, but Lorelai does a really shit job of even trying to open the communication door with her parents, because she's always just like, it didn't work out. I would have been like, no, he got some bitch pregnant. Like, he got his girlfriend pregnant. That's why we're not together. But she didn't. She does it in like a serious heat, and that's when her mom is just like, well, is he gonna be with her? Like, is he gonna marry her? And then her parents start arguing about how he should have married Lorelai, but he's gonna marry Sherry because he knows how to do the right thing. And then, like, Lorelai just walks out, and it's just like she just walks out of the dinner.
What are they having for dinner?
I don't know. They eat dinner every Friday at 7.
Okay, that's
Oh,
that's crazy that you know that.
Yeah, the maid always makes dinner because her family has a maid, but there's always a new
What
maid.
color is the maid?
They're various colors.
I
I
think
felt like that was the best way to describe it.
I think that makes me feel better. I'm not sure.
Anyway, I disliked Lorelai during the whole like Christopher breakup with Sherry, or Christopher breakup because of Sherry, because like she just has so many opportunities to open the communication with her parents, and she's just so traumatized by her privileged childhood and like the way that she lives her life now that she doesn't want to ever have that. And like, spoiler alert, even with the spin-off series, I don't think they ever fully process any of the stuff with the parents. Like, they have a few episodes where they just like hash shit out, but it never actually feels like anything is resolved because like
I feel like
it
that's how
always
it kind of
seems,
goes though.
yeah,
Right?
it always
Like,
seems just like pride gets in the way, or like you're just always resentful.
like I hash stuff out with my mom all the time, and like I
Yeah.
feel like it's
just always going to be there.
yeah, it's just gonna be. She can
Yeah.
say whatever, but it's like I still feel this way. That
Yeah.
didn't help at all.
So I think that was very it was one of those moments where I was like, damn, Lorelai, like just be an adult. Just fucking tell your
Start some
parents.
dialogue, please.
Yeah, Jesus. All right, so that was their mutual turning point.
Mm-hmm.
Next one is Rory's turning point number 2. A very public breakup with Dean. So even though Rory kisses Jess in the mutual turning point, Rory is still with Dean. She actually is with him for quite a while after. So as her feelings grew for Jess, her feelings and treatment of Dean turned less, and this turns Dean into really needy, calling every 5-minute type
Did they
of
hate
boyfriend.
each other? Did like Jess and Dean hate each other?
Yes. They often got into fights.
Like fist fights or just altercations?
A little bit of both.
Oh hell yeah.
Yeah, it's great. It's a good distaste for the future, because there's also another point with Dean that like is also really bad, but like there's a moment, which I don't talk about, but there's a moment where like Jess is like, he's heard some really really bad news about school and shit. He tries to take things a little too far with Rory, like almost SA type. She like leaves and she's crying, and that's like when Jess and Dean have like an actual fist fight, but otherwise it's just verbal altercations. So while Rory tries to hide her feelings by just being angry that Jess exists, even though she's mainly angry because after their kiss and she left for the summer for Washington, she comes back and he's like tonguing some other girl. So she's just like really upset about that.
My fault. I'm sorry. Damn.
Well, this all comes to a climax. This whole feelings of anger for Jess and like neediness of Dean all comes to a climax during a 24-hour dance marathon.
What?
Where
what?
I love it because this is like, if you watch the show, this is not news.
I feel like I just got flashbangs. Like getting up. Like what happened?
So the town that Lorelai and Rory live in, called Stars Hollow, is also home to various like town festivals. Like they pretty much do a shit ton of things. Their
like
town's
Halloween
very cute, kind of.
I remember it looking like Halloween Town.
Yeah, it kind of is. Yeah, because it's very fall. Like you'll see memes of like, it's starting to feel like la 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 la.
Instead of everyone being like a monster or like a jack-o'-lantern or something, everyone's like white
fall.
as a ghost.
Yep, it's fall and pumpkin spice.
Except for the maids, apparently.
Yes, that's true. All right, so this 24-hour dance marathon, she's her mom's dance partner.
Wait, hold on.
Okay, so
what is this?
So it's just exactly what it is. It is a marathon where you have to last the longest.
It's like a lock-in at like a school or something, or is it like
it's like in a gym or of some shit?
Okay, yeah, you're just hanging out with all your bros.
It's town ran, and yeah, it's 24 hours. You have to dance pretty much the whole 24 hours, and I think it's a fundraiser.
Oh, I'm down. That'd be so much fun.
I don't remember what they're fundraising though. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, the American dream is dead. That would have been so much fun.
Anyway, during this dance marathon, towards like the end, Rory gets really irritated because Jess and his girlfriend are kind of just sitting there, and she's like dancing with Dean because her mom's shoe broke. So like they're being a little boyfriend girlfriend, and then she like actively fights with Jess, like flirt fights with him while she's dancing with Dean, And she's just like, my problem is you and all this other stuff. And he's just like, well, maybe you should just focus on your boyfriend. And then Dean goes, I can't. I'm not, or she can't. I'm not her boyfriend anymore. And breaks up with her in front of everybody in the dance marathon.
Let's go, Dean.
Honestly,
Let's go,
best.
Dean.
The best. Because Dean, honestly.
Did he take the car back?
No, it was totaled. It was totaled in the accident.
It was destroyed. Oh my god.
Yeah, that was very short-lived, that car.
That poor thing.
That
so
poor
pretty
Honda
much, Civic, that poor tuner.
Yep, he breaks up with her, but this also leads to Rory starting to date Jess. So now Rory dates
no,
Jess.
I can't be alone.
Yep. I will say though.
Uh-huh.
Jess does eventually leave her without saying goodbye again. And that's like one of the last times that we see like Rory and Jess mingle. So the next turning point is Lorelai, and that's going to be a big time jump. So I'll give you kind of like the TLDR of what happens after like she starts dating Jess. So Rory starts dating Jess for the remainder of her high school career. So that's probably about like sophomore to junior year to the end of it. She's valedictorian at her high school, has to write a speech. She gets accepted to Harvard, Princeton, and Yale.
Bam.
Fun fact.
The big
She's
three.
super smart. She's super, super smart. And then yeah, it was prom. She was like trying to figure out her senior prom. And that's when Jess finds out that he's not gonna pass school at all because he's been ditching to go work at Walmart.
Does he need to do that?
Because he got a car and he needs to pay for it.
Okay.
And he's working at his uncle's diner, but he doesn't make enough. So he works 40 hours a week at Walmart. But he's ditching school to do
Walmart, or is it like...
Yeah, it's legitimately Walmart. Like, he gets an employee of the month certificate and the whole thing.
Is there like a camera shot inside of the Walmart?
No, there's not. Just in the break room where he's like getting the employee of the year or month award.
Is he wearing one of the little vests?
He has a vest. Yes, he has a vest.
Oh my god.
So he works there. That's when Luke's like, no, you're gonna quit your job. Like I said that because he had stipulations. He was like, Jess, you're only living here if you pass school and you graduate and everything. And because he doesn't do that, he leaves. And this was also the moment where I think they tried to make a spin-off show of Jess in California, because there's a whole episode during that season. I think it's season 3, the end of season 3, where Jess goes to California to try to get to meet his dad. And it's like a whole thing where he's like, I'm going to stay in California. And like, we don't see the girls at all. So I think they were trying to make, because like shows did that, where they would have like those weird episodes where they try to do like one-offs to see if it could work as an actual spin-off series to the show. It did not work.
So they're like, oh, they're gonna love this, and no one loved. There's like, what is this?
Well, it's
filler
because it's not Gilmore Girls. What do you mean? It's not Gilmore Jess. Anyway, so that's pretty much the gist. She picks Yale, by the way. That's the school that she picks, and that is due to her grandparents' legacy and the fact that she'd be closer to home. So, like I said, big jump. Lorelai's turning point 2. This is nothing really happens. Like all of that stuff that I said is not really a turning point in Rory's life. I feel, because like she already is experience. So yeah, it's just like she's just so pressed about Jess anyway that like she's so used to him leaving. She does think that she loves him, but like it's whatever. Anyway, so Lorelai's turning point 2 is that Lorelai starts dating Luke and then also opens the Dragonfly Inn, because that happens like the same time.
Okay.
So they happen around the exact same time.
To do both, but okay.
Exactly, yeah. She is kind of the her opening her inn, like buying it and everything, that happens right after Rory graduates, and it's really great. Like the inn is really wonderful and is actually very successful. But yeah, she starts a new relationship.
That's kind of like I see people on like Instagram, and like I used to see people on Facebook, like getting their like nurse's degree and everything, and like getting married and stuff, and then like in a year into their career having a baby.
Yeah.
And they're like, what are we doing? Like, why did you do all this?
Fast forwarding. Yeah. So they happen, and they're really great points in Lorelai's life. Both Luke and the Dragonfly are what I would say dreams for Lorelai. So like the show really tried to paint that image of Lorelai and Luke together, even though she was still kind of hung up on Christopher.
Mm-hmm.
I think the baby with Sherry really just kind of like that closed the door for her.
Right.
I think she didn't want anything to do with him after that. And so grabbing both Luke and opening the Dragonfly at the same time was actually a really good boost in confidence for her. And Luke was always just a stable part in her life anyway.
Mm-hmm.
He was kind of like a pseudo father for Rory. He would do kind of like fatherly things. In one of the first seasons, he set up like a fun little birthday table for her with coffee cake for her birthday. It was really cute. So we've always really loved the idea of Luke and Lorelai together because they have a really good relationship. But so that part in her life working out is really great. And then the Dragonfly Inn has been a plot point for Lorelai since day one. They've always talked about her and Suki or opening an inn, how they need to save money for it, and then so they just like they're finally like let's do it. So
I have a quick question.
Sure.
So like she gets with Luke, which is like that's great because like you see the guy in the beginning of the show because I remember waiting for this show like to be over so Pokemon would come on.
Yeah.
And like it's like oh yeah he's like almost like a main character it seemed like if only like a very important side character. Me like seeing it back in the day like 20 years ago was like oh they're gonna end up together eventually.
Yeah, the show did a really good job at putting that in your mind. And he was more, I would think that he would be like if there was two main characters of Lorelai and Rory, like the next character that I would say is like there's Luke because I think he's in every single episode. He is the one that runs the diner and that they're always in the diner.
Yeah.
Like so he's quite important. So them getting together also quite important.
But my question was, did she learn anything from the whole like Christopher and what's his name Max debacle?
I would say
did she seem like she took that in as like a real
I honestly
stone to improvement?
I'm honestly gonna say like no.
It's just not addressed again. She just sucks.
Well, so there's lots. So she does eventually meet Max again. Max has a girlfriend, and they try to like there's some like chemistry between them because like there's always going to be chemistry because I think things were unresolved. She didn't really tell Max that she was calling off the wedding. It just was like I'm just not going to show up. And then you just deal with it. Kind of like left at the altar kind of shit.
Ghosted too, or
yeah, ghosted.
Jesus.
Yeah, and then she sees him again like a while from now, and it's just one of those things where it's like I don't think she actually ever learns from her relationships, especially with Christopher, because there's a moment here in one of the turning points that is very heavily Christopher based that I think you will also very much enjoy. But back to the Dragonfly opening. This has like obviously been painted as like her main dream, and I really do think that like with Rory going off to college, they wanted to kind of solidify the story for Lorelai. So they let her have her in and her stable relationship, and then like it's Rory focused for like the next like couple of seasons. We're focusing heavily on Rory with little tidbits of the mom.
Little coming of age thing.
Yup.
Yeah.
So now Rory's on her way to college, and this leads kind of a little bit more into turning point 3 for Rory. Rory sleeps with married Dean.
Like Dean of her school or Dean the man?
Dean the man, her ex-boyfriend Dean.
Oh God. Both are bad, but
both are bad.
One significantly worse.
So after Bad Boy Jess didn't work out, what else to do than go back to your ex, right? That's I'm glad I got that.
Ghoulish cat with the hairball.
That's exactly what Rory does, except her ex gets married right out of high school, mainly to get over his first love, Rory.
Oh my God.
For some context, Rory learns from Dean that he loves Lindsay, which is his new girlfriend, and that they want to get married, and Rory's like, you're 18, rightfully so, and he gets really mad, rightfully so. But in the end, Dean and Rory try to have like a friendship, Quote, I put friendship in quotes.
Okay.
Because it's obvious that he still has feelings for her, and she's just so upset that her second attempt at a relationship was so shitty compared to her first relationship that she wants to go back to her first relationship.
Oh, poor child.
Yeah, it's not kosher. Lindsay doesn't know anything about Rory and Dean's relationship or friendship. So Dean gets intertwined with Rory because he actually starts working construction at the inn that her mom is opening up.
Okay.
So because of that, they start to like show the characters a little bit more grown up. So now that Rory's in college, she cuts her hair. So now she has a short little bob. And then now that Dean is out of high school and start doing construction,
focused on that like gigantic,
jawline, facial hair.
Yeah,
Dean has facial hair now with longer hair.
Because I remember she had like a big old forehead.
Yeah, it's crazy. She
got
bangs. She gets bangs in the later seasons, and that's honestly when she looks her cuntiest and the best.
Cunty Reggie Rock, I'm here for it.
She looks her best in the later seasons. But yeah, so Rory cuts her hair and they both look more adult, and it gets into Rory's head that maybe her and Dean can start back up again. Oh, no. Fast forward to the inn opening. So they do like a soft opening for the inn. Rory and Dean start to talk in her room because her mom wanted her to go get some CDs. And Dean is like, hey, like, what's up? And they are in her room. Dean's like, it's not going to work out with Lindsay. And this leads to them sharing a kiss and then ultimately sleeping together.
Wait, and Dean's already married?
Dean's already married.
Oh, it's not. We've only been together for like a year, but it's not working.
It's not even that. It's been a couple months. It's not. Yeah, it's bad.
Yikes.
All right. So I have an honorable mention. It's not enough.
Honorable mention for like the
actual full, like mutual turning point, but I have an honorable mention about feelings here. Since starting college, opening in, new relationships, Lorelai and Rory are experiencing the biggest strain that their relationship has ever had. So Rory's acting out. She's making really bad decisions, and the show makes a lot of effort to showcase Rory's consequences to her actions and also Lorelai's anxiety with the crumbling relationship of her daughter.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
That's a normal thing to go on.
I think it makes a lot of sense because they push so much the relationship of like best friend for the mom and the daughter. But because Rory's like going off to college and she's upset about her second relationship not working out and she's making bad decisions, like, and then there's like a moment where like she's starting school and then they're both playing phone tag and they're just like, it's a really cute moment because like Rory is told that she has to drop a class, and this is beginning the point of like Rory's entitlement, where it's like she's been really smart and told she's really smart her whole life. Now that she's doing something a little bit more challenging, she's feeling a little bit more strained. She's realizing that like she's not as great as everybody is saying.
Right.
So like she's like everything's falling apart. Like school's not going well because I can't match the workload that my old grandfather did, and then like the mom is like opening her in. And pretty much making her dreams come true, but is not able to speak with her daughter as much because her daughter is
like
gone.
at the same time she's dealing with like empty nesters, but like even more powerful than that is like it seems like Lorelai chose Rory over a lot of other decisions she could have made and built like pretty much a whole like life for her daughter, which is now, you know, very far away. And they both have their own like lives now that they have to focus on. And so that's
so insightful.
Yeah. Sounds so terrible.
You're gonna be a regular Gilmore Girl.
Yeah. Oh me? Oh me?
Yep. All right.
Little old me. I'm not gonna watch this shit. Cut that.
Just cut it.
Actually, no, leave that in.
All right, we're getting close to the final. We're getting close to the final ones. We took another time jump. Rory turning point number 4. Stealing a yacht and dropping out of Yale.
What the fuck? What?
Now you know why I needed her here.
What season are we on?
This is probably about season 5.
Okay. If you said 4, I was about to rip my hair out. I was like, what is happening?
I think it's about season 5.
She needs parental supervision.
Yeah, she does. All right. With Rory being a Yale lady, working towards journalism as her like major, she's given a newspaper opportunity through her partner, Logan. That's her new boyfriend, is Logan.
He's just there. He's just a dude.
He goes to Yale and she's like, because I guess all places have newspapers, and so she works at the Yale Daily News.
Mm-hmm.
He
Well,
also
Yale is
works.
like good and like with their journalism program as
Oh,
well.
okay, that's just
Yeah.
my naivety. I guess so, yeah. So Logan
Yeah.
also works there, and his dad is like a newspaper mogul.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so
Oh,
she's
hell
with
yeah.
so she's with Logan, whose father's a newspaper mogul, like I said. Honestly, Logan should have just been a turning point for Rory. Like he should have just been a whole thing, but there's just a lot.
The writers are like, fuck that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go crazy.
But there's a few moments specifically that are from her Logan era, if you will, that really show his influence on her.
Okay.
TLDR on Logan. He's a party guy, classic frat boy. If frat boy culture had millions of dollars to drink and do whatever they wanted.
Hell yeah.
So she got this journalism internship, and from the other episodes in context, it's known that she's a decent writer. So it's assumed that she would do pretty well in this internship.
Mm-hmm.
She's balanced big academia and working in a fast-paced environment, so to a newspaper internship should be in her element. Well, at the end of it, Logan's father states that she doesn't have what it takes, and he's the newspaper
Damn.
mogul.
But why though?
So the history of that is she actually goes to dinner with Logan's family.
Mm-hmm.
And Logan's family actually rips her to shreds verbally regarding the fact that she's not good enough for him.
Oh, they're just haters.
Because their family name and blood is more and better. Because mind you, Gilmore is still like pretty high society.
Yeah.
Like it's a high society name. But apparently Gilmore is not good enough for his last name's Huntsberger. Yeah.
They out here hunting McDonald's. What are you talking about? The fuck?
So her family pretty much verbally assaulted her in regards to her status in Logan's life. The dad shows up late after the mom and everybody is just like giving her a lashing.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a pity internship to be like, sorry about my family. And then it's you're probably better off just being a trophy wife type of cause. So he doesn't think she has what it takes.
And like, do you think like he really thought that, or is he just like
no, I thought he was
still
just being a dick.
biased?
I think he was being a gigantic
You're a
dick.
woman. You can't do it.
Pretty much.
You don't have the gusto, kid. You
Yep.
don't got that moxie.
Absolutely.
But they're in like Connecticut, so they're like, you ain't got it, sport. Or no, they don't even ain't. They're like, you don't have it, kid.
Yeah. Exactly.
You're nothing. You're trash. You old news. You old hat.
So taking the word of this one person, who she feels has way more authority over her life, mainly because he's her boyfriend's father.
Mm-hmm.
She meets up with Logan and says, I want to get away. And says, let's go on a boat. And due to Logan's history...
So like Logan feel really bad about it? He's like, that's fucked up. What the hell?
She didn't tell him at first.
Oh.
Yep. And so due to Logan's history of being problematic, he agrees and Roy gets busted because they steal a yacht. He's just like, let's go
Dude,
on
Logan
a boat.
rules.
Yeah. He's pretty great in the sense of like he's Jess like on steroids. If Jess had like a lot of money.
Oh, he's a psychopath.
Yeah.
He cuts up little animals.
So Roy gets busted, being told that she won't make it in journalism and being busted for stealing a yacht all leads to Roy making the decision to stop going to Yale and drop out. She gives it a year. It ends up being a little bit more. She's pretty much going to take some time off. All right. This one's so great. Lorelai turning point 3 and 4.
Oh no. I thought she had her dream going. What happens?
Lorelai actively asks for help from estranged parents, and Lorelai learns Luke has a daughter.
Okay.
Immediately after Rory gets busted and asks to take time off or drop out, Lorelai sees the crash landing Rory's about to have, and in desperation, she goes to the two people she despises to help her parents. TLDR, they live a lavish life, they have a rich life, and Lorelai wasn't just really about it. She said that they suffocated her, that they just really didn't provide her, and they didn't like her eccentricism. So she was definitely like an odd goose.
Right.
But she didn't fit into the mold, and on top of her getting pregnant at an early age, it just really apparently humiliated them.
Right.
And so she's always kept that and knows that she humiliated them. So she's just like, obviously, like, I don't like them. I don't want any part of that life. The majority of Rory's life has been not with her grandparents.
So she's like, so Lorelai's like, oh, I embarrassed them, but
Yeah.
I don't want to do anything to them, make it up to them. They're
Yup.
out of my life.
So technically her parents are really only there to provide money and Rory's needs. They actually paid for Chilton, the private school, because Lorelai couldn't. And they're actually paying for Yale. Fun fact. They also paid to fix Lorelai's house. Or they co-signed a loan to help her fix her house. But they provide money monetarily, and they kind of know it that that's their position. But Rory going to Chilton is what instilled the Friday night dinners, which is like a trope in the show. It's every Friday at dinner, like they have dinner, and that's pretty much because she took a loan out for the school. It's just because the grandmother wanted to see her family and thought that she had to bribe them to fucking do it.
Oh no, that's so sad.
Anyway, due to all of Rory's spiraling, because like she heard one bad take and was like, oh no, my life's over. Lorelai spills everything to her parents, talking about how Logan's father shot her down, how she stole a boat right after, and that she's not wanting to go to Yale, where her parents are actually fully supportive. For the first time, Lorelai actually feels like she has a support system in her family. Well, that's not until Rory comes to her grandfather, cries, and says everything's falling apart, and then begs them to help her out. So what happens is Rory basically manipulates them into letting them have her live there. So she's now moved into her grandparents' house. She's no longer in Yale. She's no longer at home. She's estranged from her mom now, living with her grandparents.
Oh my god.
Yep. It pretty much is it pretty much is the final nail in the coffin for Lorelai. That backstab really, really like solidifies her distrust and her hate for her parents. So she writes him off. She goes to Luke and she says, Luke, will you marry me? And he says yes. So now Lorelai's engaged. Which is great. Except for the fact that
oh no,
things kind of fall to shit. So right before stuff with Lorelai and Luke happen, this is where the iconic meme, where I'm gonna have to pull it up for you.
Yeah, please.
Because Rory's dating Logan.
Okay.
She's pretty much living at
like
her grandparents.
Still though?
Huh?
Still though?
Yes.
Did Logan get in trouble for stealing it out? Or is he rich? It doesn't matter.
He's rich. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
So he was bailed out. And so like they've been together for a while. Jess kind of comes to visit, but more in a friendly manner. Because he's doing his own thing. He's working at a small publishing company. He's trying to he actually wrote a book. So like he's getting his shit together. So like for me, and I'm pretty sure Ghoulish Cat, Jess is endgame for Rory, because he matched her wit very well, matched her knowledge very well. And I think that because she was so brainwashed on the idea of like, you have to go to college, and like people weren't really like fond of the get your GED and then do other stuff like that you want to do. Him dropping out of school and doing all that stuff just really was unsettling for her. And then he also like broke her heart multiple times because he just left without saying goodbye.
He's just crazy.
Yeah. So he comes back and he's like, hey, like I have this book and I just want to like have dinner with you. And she's like, well, like let's have dinner with my boyfriend, because he like Logan kind of like comes up and he's just like, we were gonna have dinner, and like he's really drunk because he had a bad time wherever the fuck he was, but he's always drinking and he's an angry drunk. So he's kind of an ass to Jess because he's a little bit jealous, and kind of flaunts the rich guy that he is. And so what happens is Rory's like, I'm so sorry, he's being an ass. Like they're outside talking, and Jess gives her a lashing, and it ends. Let me see if I can find it.
Jess, wait. Jess, I'm sorry.
You shouldn't have done this.
He's just in a bad way
He's
lately.
a jerk.
He was. In there, definitely. I'm so sorry.
I read that guy the second I saw him. I should have begged off.
Well, I didn't want you to.
He better not come out here.
Please, Jess, he had a lot to drink. He's tired from traveling. This isn't him, I swear.
What the hell is going on?
I told you, he's tired. And his family's bugging him right now.
I mean, with you. What's going on with you?
What do you mean?
You know what I mean. I know you. I know you better than anyone. This isn't you.
I don't know.
What are you doing? Living at your grandparents' place? Being in the DAR? No, Yale. Why did you drop out of Yale?
It's complicated.
It's not. It's not complicated.
You don't know.
This isn't you.
Why did you drop it? Yeah, he's a terrible actor, by the way. What the fuck was that?
Why did you drop out of Yale? It's the most classic meme that has come from the show like ever.
It sounds like Benson B, like from the B movie saying it.
Yes, but pretty much like Jess kind of smacks some sense into her because she obviously has like unresolved trauma from him leaving, and because he was best boy, he knows her. And like, so the DAR was Daughters of the American Revolution. It's some like weird legacy shit where like it's old women who buy antique things and raise fundraisers for historic figures. But yeah, her life pretty much went to shit. He's like, you were supposed to be a journalist, like you were supposed to go to Yale, and you were wanting to go to college and stuff. Like, so why did you drop out of Yale?
Why did you drop out of Yale?
And so with all of that happening, Lorelai's like got pretty much a good wake up call to what her life currently is. Meanwhile, Lorelai begins fully planning everything for her wedding. So while all of this is happening, Lorelai and Rory fix their tumultuous relationship because like moving into the grandparents and everything, she like writes it off. She's just like, fuck you guys, fuck Rory too, like I'm gonna live my life. But she also, even though they are engaged, she doesn't want to do any wedding planning until she fixes things with Rory. So things get fixed with Rory. Wedding planning goes perfectly, which just goes to show the show really wanting you to know that her and Luke belong together. She finds the dress, finds the venue, finds the date. She does everything in one day. She's like, everything's perfect. It's amazing.
Wow.
But that is the day that he finds out that he has a daughter.
Same day.
Same day.
Oh my god.
This moment in Lorelai and Luke's life really sucks because Luke's insecurity about how cool Lorelai is, true story, blinds him to have an open and honest relationship with Lorelai, and because of this, he postpones the wedding. Lorelai waits months and months, and then begs him to elope, and then he turns her down because he doesn't like ultimatums. And guess what happens after he turns her down? I bet you can guess. Christopher. She immediately goes to him, and meanwhile, Christopher's having his own tumultuous relationship.
He has like a 2-year-old or something.
Yeah, he's got a kid whose mom flitted off to Paris.
Oh, let's go.
Sherry
in Paris.
Sherry left her life and said it was her time to start her own life in her career because she put it on hold for Gigi, which is the daughter's name.
Oh god.
Yeah. And then was just like, no, here you go, have a kid. So he like had a daughter and that there's no baby mama. So she sleeps with Christopher. She feels really bad about it because that's just her standard, I'm gonna, ruin everything in my life, is sleeping with him. While that also increases the hook that Lorelai has in Christopher. But Luke comes in and he begs her and he goes, hey, I'm ready now. I'm sorry. It took so long for me to even do this. Like, obviously I want to marry you. I got the truck packed up. Let's go. Let's get married. And she's like, no, it's over. And he's just like, come on, let's go. And she goes, I slept with Christopher. And he leaves and he goes to where Christopher is and he punches him in the face.
He just finds him.
True story. Yep. I think he knew, but
he knew where he was.
Yeah.
Where he was.
So that is her turning points 3 and 4.
Mm-hmm.
The next one, and that's our final turning point, is the mutual turning point 2. Lorelai marries Christopher in Paris. Now it's funny. Now you understand why it was funny while you're talking about Paris.
What the fuck is happening? Why are they going to Paris?
I'll tell you. I'm glad you asked.
Oh my god.
So this is the last turning point, and it's actually pretty significant. I think it affects both really well, because at this point, Rory's just living life, and even though the final episode includes relationship things with Logan, it still feels like a speck to what this moment is. So, like, Rory, like, I'll give you a TLDR on, like, her final moments in the show. Logan asks her to marry him. That's right. For some reason, it always is weird with that. Logan asks her to marry him. She still wants to have like a career. She does not feel like she's ready to get married, even though she's graduated college. So she turns him down.
Where did she go to college?
Huh?
You said she
She graduated college. She went back to Yale.
Oh, okay.
And she graduated on time somehow.
No.
I know. I'm aware. All right. So, after things with Luke didn't work out, that very same night, as Lorelai does, she goes and sleeps with Christopher. Now, I feel like I almost should have done a turning point for Christopher, because poor baby boy, he went through some trauma. First, he never really gets out over his love for Lorelai. Then he gets close with his baby mama, Sherry, who, she's a piece of work. She's scheduled to have her kid have a C-section. And then she went into labor first, and then her friends were like, Sherry screwed up. She's going into labor. This happened because like all of her friends are working girls. So it's like, it's the trope of like, oh, we're working girls. We have a busy life. We have no time for romance. But she like scheduled a C-section, and then her friends are just like going crazy because it happened earlier, and they keep saying that Sherry screwed up because she went into labor. That's like, it's the weirdest
women supporting
thing.
women. Let's go.
So she's a piece of work. They have their daughter, and then the mom goes to work in Paris and leaves her daughter with Christopher and then says goodbye. Now, there's some friction with Chris and Lorelai before they get together again. As Christopher is a single dad, he kind of treats Gigi a little bit more spoiled. This leads to them being like, Lorelai's like, dude, I'll watch her, and then like she destroys the house, and she's like, you gotta tell her no once in a while. And he's just like, what do you mean? She's got no mom.
Yeah, that's where the hypocrisy comes back in, where it's like, this is my child.
Actually, I didn't even touch on it, and I should have, and that is my mistake. This actually, hypocrisy comes with Luke's child, because Luke bars pretty much Lorelai from getting to know his daughter, because one, he's insecure that he says once she gets to know you, it's over for me, because he wanted that time with her. But she was trying to actively like be a part of both of their lives, and Luke was very like withholding with the baby mama about it, because they keep making the comment like engaged isn't married, and like the baby mama doesn't want Lorelai around the daughter, who's like middle school age. And so like Luke puts in he's like, no, like I'm dealing with April, it's my decision what happens, point blank period. Which is why I said it was very hypocritical for her to get upset, because she does the same thing with Max,
right?
You know, like it's if you're going to be upset at Max or say like, no, don't father my child, you can't be upset when someone else also says don't mother my child.
She literally learned nothing from the Max arc.
She did not, and that's why he was the best. It's like, Jesus Christ.
We stand Max here.
Yeah. Anyway, she tries to give Christopher some pointers, and it works. Gigi ends up being respectable, not a freaking spoiled brat. But what happens is they get a letter, and Lorelai and Christopher have this letter, and it's from Sherry saying that she's gotten her life together. She's dating somebody, like a yoga instructor. She's zen. She's not as career driven, and she wants Gigi to come to Paris.
Okay.
And so, Lorelai, being traumatized, is like, do you even want my input on like what I think about Gigi going to Paris? And he's just like, yeah, I want to know, like, what do you think I should do? So they end up going to Paris, like they bring Gigi to Paris together.
Do they film in Paris, or is it just like a weird
I
set?
don't know. I feel like it was a weird set.
Are they ever in front of the Eiffel Tower kissing
No,
or anything?
no. But the Eiffel Tower's in the distance.
Uh-huh.
So they do family bonding. They eventually go to Paris, and after they drop Gigi off, like they decide to elope, just randomly.
Mhm.
But I think it's because of years of like, let's see if this actually will work.
Right.
But they get back, they don't tell anyone, and it actually causes a bit of problem with Rory because she's like, I would have liked to be there. Like I would have gotten on a plane and
I
I
would've
would
been
have
the witness.
come
What
to
do you
fucking
know?
Paris. Keeping secrets and doing life decisions without each other, it feels like lost years that they can't get back. So
Mhm.
like Rory kind of feels really hurt by it. I also think that it was Rory's intuition that her mom was still in love with Luke because the marriage was very rocky. Like
Mhm.
Christopher had a lot of jealousy with Luke because there was an obvious known like rift with Luke, like, and the feelings were there, and it was
Mhm.
just like there's like an obvious like I still love her type of like Luke still loves her, Lorelai still loves Luke.
Mhm.
There's a moment where Lorelai had to write a character witness letter to Luke, or to a judge so that Luke could get custody of his daughter because there's like a custody battle that
Uh-huh.
happens. And he really isn't it. Like he knows what the letter is for, and she's trying to tell him that like she's giving this relationship all it is, like all that she can,
Mhm.
but he just can't get over that jealousy and he ends up leaving. Like, but she also he never assimilated into the small town life. He was more of a city guy. They
Uh-huh.
both come from money and he kind of lived in that money world.
Right.
So it just wasn't going to work out anyway, in my opinion.
Mhm.
So genuinely, I think that like it was a major L in Lorelai's life to get married to Christopher because
Yeah.
she did it just to prove that she could even be married. I think it was to like partially appease her family and then also to show like it was Christopher all along,
Right.
not
Mhm.
Luke. Yeah. So that turning point happens halfway through the last season, and the end of the show is pretty mild. They ended off on a send off for Rory, who's going on her next adult life plans. She's out of college and gets a job working on the political campaign tour for Barack Obama.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yep.
What a hero.
So you kind of already guessed, and I already told you, Lorelai ends up with Luke. Point blank period. That's like her end game even in the next.
Well, how does that get there? It just kind of just.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you know. So it starts off with like just friendly outings of like she like goes for coffee. He helps her try to find like or fix her car. Just little things that kind of
Mhm.
put them together. And then there's one moment where, excuse me, they were gonna have like a big send off for Rory, but it was gonna rain like really bad. He gathered up all of the tents from the entire town. He stitched them all together with fishing wire and he made like a pseudo tent
A big
for
old tent.
yeah, it was pretty much just something really selfless
Mhm.
that she was like, fuck, man, like this is the reason that I love you.
Mhm.
And then they kiss in the street.
And then she gets a divorce, and then.
Well, she already was divorced pretty much.
Oh,
Yeah. So
okay.
yeah.
How long did that last?
Not very long. I would say like a couple months. It was
Jesus
enough for it to
Christ.
become normal, but not long enough for it to like truly matter, in my opinion.
Mhm.
But yeah. So that's Gilmore Girls.
That's it.
That's Gilmore Girls.
Yeah. I did
So
it.
you've already said, but I'm just gonna ask again. Do you think you'll ever watch the show?
No.
I love your honesty about it. So what are some of your thoughts on these turning points?
I think they seem pretty well written. These seem like things that damaged people would do,
Mhm.
like not logically, but like someone in distress, or like, having really bad self-doubt, or like
Yeah.
not knowing exactly who they are gonna do these kind of like crazy, you would think like unhinged things, like
Yeah.
going back to Christopher every time. But like you see that every time in real life. So the writing
Mhm.
is very good, it seems.
relatable.
That one scene you showed me.
Oh yeah, where Jess is yelling at Rory.
Yeah. Showed me that the acting is probably not the greatest.
I will say, I think I think the acting is only bad in that part because like that's probably the most that Jess has ever spoken in an entire scene. The actor, because he was one of those like he doesn't have a big conversation. So like this is him having a big conversation, being like,
yeah,
"The
like,
fuck, Rory."
the cutting in that, like,
Oh yeah.
yeah, it was like obviously she said everything in one take, and then like they're like, okay, now you,
Yeah.
and then they just cut it back and forth, back and forth,
Yeah.
back and forth. And it was so weird.
Why did you drop out of Yale?
Why did you drop out of Yale?
So I will say
What?
I do think that the show can be relatable. A lot of the memes are towards Rory's entitlement. Through a lot of the show, she is given a lot of like passes. She's shown a lot of favoritism. They've really painted her as like a golden girl. The moment she starts having any sort of trouble, like school, life, etc., she makes really bad decisions, like really bad life decisions that it's just like, it's not that deep, hun. It's not that deep. And yet for her, it is. And to me, the whole newspaper thing, I feel like that entitlement was the worst because like moving in with her grandparents and like she had to do community service because she like got actually busted, like arrested, a mugshot, whatever. And like her own selfishness led her to stay with her grandparents and deal with all of those consequences, not actually even needing to deal with it. She just was like, this is what it is. She didn't even think for a second about how hurt her mom was, but she just focused on the fact that like her mom wasn't supportive of her decision.
Right.
And so it was not great. But it's really cute how they end up like fixing the relationship because like Lorelai's being a mom. She's like, look, like as much as I would love to demand Rory to come back and make the right decisions, like I can't. She has to do it on her own. And so it happens. Yeah, it happens where she like she gets a job at a newspaper. She like goes back into Yale. She makes a phone call. She's like, Mom. She goes, I did it. I landed a job. And she's like, awesome. Because she moves out of her parents' house and moves into her best friend's house that she's with. She's like, I did it. Like, I got a job. And she goes, and I'm going back to Yale. And her mom was just like, that's awesome. That's amazing. And then so like she goes home.
Does she stay with Logan?
She stays with Logan, but not after she turns down his proposal.
Okay.
But if you want a little tidbit or a sneak peek for the year in the life, she actually is hooking up with Logan in that series. But he's he's engaged to someone else.
Jesus Christ.
And why? Do you want the biggest spoiler of all? And that leads people to demand that they continue the series A Year in the Life. At the very end, Rory tells her mom that she's pregnant. The idea, so the year in the life, let me give you a small tidbit. We're hitting about an hour and a half, an hour and 45 minutes right now. So let me go ahead.
A lot of that was also just us chatting.
Garbage
at the beginning. So this is like a perfect amount of time.
Yeah. So a little bit of A Year in the Life. It is centered around 10 years in the future. So everybody's doing their own thing. Lorelai is struggling with one of her standard people needing to go to someplace bigger, or she's trying to like grow the dragonfly because it's just tiny and it doesn't have anything extra. So she's trying to make that work. She's going to therapy. She is still with Luke. They're not married. And pretty much it goes and deals with all of like Lorelai trying to figure out if she's Lorelai without Luke. So she's pretty much trying to like, Lorelai's always trying to find and make sure that she's still her own person when she's with someone, which I can respect, but at the same time, she does it at the expense of other people.
She learned nothing.
Yeah. Also, I will say a really, really sad tidbit. The dad of Lorelai, his name is Richard Gilmore. The actor actually passed away, and they incorporated that in in that series. It was really touching, really heartfelt. one of the main pivotal moments in that series is Rory learns how her mom acted during the wake, because Emily Gilmore, which is the mom, the grandmother, she's like, okay, everyone go around and say like your best Richard story. And Lorelai didn't have a really nice thing to say about her late father.
Jesus.
Well, 3 episodes later, she's realizing that she doesn't need this, to figure out who she is with or without Luke. And she calls Emily and she says a really, really nice story about how like she stole her mom's top and she got it messed up and she got called out of school and the dad took her to the mall and like did all this it was like a really nice story. I actually am tearing up as I'm like reliving it because it's like genuinely just something really heartfelt. And that leads her to be like, Luke, let's just fucking finally do it. Let's actually get married. So the end episode is her getting married to Luke, and then Rory telling her that she's pregnant. And then she's like, oh! And then it ends, dude. It ends. It ends on a gasp. And people have been begging. Mind you, this is, 8 years? We're at 8 years from the time that came out to where we are now. And we still have nothing. We have nothing. People speculate who the baby's dad is, and we all know it's Logan. It's really the only one she was sleeping with, but they showed all of her exes. So Dean came back in, Jess was also there. So like the guys in her life for Rory.
We got a Mamma Mia situation going on.
Yeah, but it has
Except
to be
in Connecticut
Logan
instead of Greece.
Although she slept with a person who was dressed in a Wookiee costume, so it could be the Wookiees guy.
What the fuck?
Yeah, pretty much. It's just trash.
Wait, he was wearing the costume still as well?
So she's trying to do
During?
That's also a question. She's wondering, she's like, I don't know if I want to tell you. But it is interesting to see her have like a one night stand. Because it's just like, she's all an adult now. And her mom is just like, okay, whatever. There's like a whole lot more context that might be needed to make that. But the main point is she slept with a Wookiee, and that could have also been the baby's dad. But most likely it's Logan, who she was like constantly sleeping with.
Right.
All right, so that's Gilmore Girls, and that's a little bit of the a year in the life of Gilmore Girls. And I really liked the spin-off, or like the extra thing that they did, because it did just give people that nostalgia, because it was right before COVID time. And I think that the reason I thought it was around COVID time was because it was the perfect show to binge watch during that time. So I think it really hits the mark. The show itself is really relatable, in my opinion. It struggles with it hits on the teen mom with or the mom who was a teen mom who's a single parent, but it does the trope really well. We don't really see a lot of when she's pregnant. We just see like her life afterwards.
Right.
Whereas a lot of other shows just focus on like, oh shit, this is her pregnant, to like when she has the baby, and that's
all
like
the
all of
traumatic
season
stuff
1.
and the super traumatic stuff of trying to figure it out.
Yeah. So that's why I really like it, but I had to do this, 1, because you hadn't seen it, and 2, because I just kept seeing all the memes. The very last thing we'll touch on before we close stuff up is some quips from my favorite character, which is Emily Gilmore.
Oh boy.
Because she's sassy. Like
grandma.
She's sassy. But she's like sassy rich grandma.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so this one is this was just really simple. She says, I simply don't understand people. This one is, want a drink? Today I learned how to make mojitos. And the context to that one is she found an old letter from her husband's mom begging her husband, or who was about to be her husband, to leave her for his ex-girlfriend, Penelon Lott. So there was like, I think like the dad had a heart attack, or like the mom died, and she needed to like do the funeral and all this other stuff, like the mom did. And she's just like, you know who you should ask? Penelon Lott. And then she's like in a robe where she's never this disheveled, and she's like making mojitos, and then she's reading like a spicy book in her book club, and then she's just like, I just learned how to make mojitos.
Mojitos rule.
And then there's one that says, at least she had a husband to kill. Another slight
God.
at Lorelai.
Jesus.
You don't go running out the door when a boy honks. And this is where Rory is just like, but I told him to honk because they were going to a dance.
Mhm.
And she's just like, but I told him to honk. And so he's like constantly honking. And she's just like, well, he's not a very smart boy, is he? Because he's supposed to like come to the door. And it's like, I hate that she takes the bus. Drug dealers take the bus.
God.
It's because Rory lives 30 minutes away from her school, her high school.
Uh-huh.
So she has to take the bus.
Yeah, that's that rich person coming out.
Yep.
Scumbags take the bus.
Yep. That attitude. I wanted to slap that monosyllabic mouth of his because that was Jess. Jess was not very likable.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't really say much.
Yeah, he would just say yes, no.
Yeah. This is easily the most pointless conversation we've ever had.
This is the humor of the time, definitely.
It's funny.
These would be on like just like those meme pages like that.
Oh yeah, like the old school
like
memes
old
of just like the badger or whatever the fuck.
Yeah. like the raptor or whatever.
Yeah. My favorite is whenever Lorelai would tell Emily about like some hardships in her life, Emily would be like, okay, your father and I are the devil, whatever. It was always just some sarcastic comment about
I
how
don't
like
care,
we
I'm
ruined
rich.
your life.
I'm rich.
But it was more so just like, you're throwing a tantrum, Lorelai.
Mm-hmm.
In the show, there's like a whole like scene, like a one-shot scene where like Emily, Richard, Lorelai, and Rory all kind of hash out everything after Rory goes back to Yale and Friday night dinners start back up again and like all of this and it's just a one shot of like the camera following everybody and then it's like it's arguing and then it's laughing and then it's silence and then it's arguing again and then it's like but it's talking about different aspects and it's like when shows who are left with like answer all your questions in one episode. That's pretty much what this felt like. Because they hash out like, me and Christopher didn't want to get married. We were 16. And it was just like some random shit with like Rory. But it's like it just hashes out everything. But even that wasn't enough to finalize like closing the books on stuff and letting them go. Because after Richard died, it was just like it exploded. And then they went to therapy and it was just like, oh boy. And then the therapy didn't help. And they had another like one shot scene of everybody in the year in the life and it just it was nonsense. But after all, Gilmore Girls overall is a show that I would highly recommend. And so I'll close it up here. Rory should have ended up with Jess.
Okay. And
Lorelai should have ended up with Max. Those are my two ships. I will die on these ships as the captain. So thank you guys for tuning in to our first quite long, not all the episodes will be this long, but this was thorough. So thank you guys for tuning in to the very first episode of the Our Internet podcast. Next week, we have an episode on VTubers where my lovely co-host Tipsy Ghoul will be telling me all about the VTuber world because I know nothing about it. And then the next week from that, I think I will be talking about some teenage pregnancy.
Oh my God. Jesus.
We've got more episodes coming down the line of my corner of the internet and Tipsy's corner of the internet. And throughout all of this, we're also going to talk about some mutual corners that's going to make up our internet. But we hope that you guys enjoyed this first episode and we will catch you on the next one.
All right, see ya.
Goodbye. Why did you drop out of Yale?
Why did you drop out of Yale?